What's good, guys? So in today's video, we are going to be using FlutterFlow to build a search engine. So today is going to be a very comprehensive video because we're going to be implementing many moving pieces in order to build this app. Now, before we go further, if you're interested in writing software and building software and making money with software without writing a single line of code, without needing to be technical, then definitely smash a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment to let me know what kind of content you'd like to see and what kind of issues you are struggling with. Now, having said that, let's continue. Okay, so here we have a diagram of the app we're going to be building. This is going to be a FlutterFlow search engine, and we're going to be implementing Algolia. Okay, this is a really cool system for search. Okay, and I'm going to talk about it in just a second. So here's the basic architecture of the app. This is the app here, right? So this is our FlutterFlow app. It's a search engine app, and it's going to have a bunch of widgets. And we are going to be implementing Firebase to store our data, and we're also going to be implementing Algolia as an index to index our data so that the data in Firebase is going to be very easily found. It's going to be searchable, this data, okay? And so now, before we actually go into FlutterFlow and build the app, we got to do a couple of other things first. We got to work backwards. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to set up Algolia, then we need to set up Firebase, and then we need to set up the actual app. Okay, so I'm going to go into Algolia, and I'm going to show you how to set it up for the app that we are building. So here I am in Algolia. I'm going to log into my existing account. I'm under the free plan, so you do not have to pay anything. So I'm going to say login right here. All right, so here I am in Algolia's dashboard. And so what exactly is Algolia? Well, you can kind of read more about it. Here we are on the main page. You have kind of two basic products. You have Algolia Search and Algolia Recommend. So this is the powerful hosted search API to create fast and relevant search and discovery. And we also have flexible hosted recommendation API with advanced programmatic control. Now, in this video, we're going to be primarily talking about Algolia Search. I may create another video with Algolia Recommend, which is a very powerful system. So if you want to see that kind of video, leave a comment below and smash a like on this video. But typically, if you go in here and learn more, you can kind of understand what it does. And essentially, it allows you to index your world, put into motion with our powerful search API, and get results fast. So basically, you have a bunch of data, and you want it to be searchable. Okay, this is a fairly hard problem, and Algolia solves it very elegantly, and I'm going to show you exactly how it works. So here we are back in Algolia's dashboard, and what we need to do is we need to create an application. Okay, so here I have an application, kind of the default application. And what we want to do first is we want to kind of rename it. We have an unnamed app, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename it. So I'm going to call this our Flutter app. Okay, this is going to be our Flutter app, our search engine essentially. So we're going to save it in here. Okay, so if we go into this app, we have a bunch of things. We also have API keys. We have a lot of these interesting things. Now, the next thing that we want to do is we want to go into search, and we want to create an index. Okay, so essentially an index is the data that we're going to be searching on, so that it creates an index out of this data, which allows it to be very easily to be searched. So I'm going to create an index. And the index we're going to create, I'm just going to call it documents. Okay, assuming we're going to have a collection of documents, I'm going to just say documents, create. Okay. So now we are done. There's nothing else we need to do because it's going to be done automatically. So at this stage, we're kind of done. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we need to create our Firebase database. So you can simply go to firebase.google.com. And what you need to do is you need to create a project here. So we're going to call this Flutter Search App. Okay, we're going to say continue. We're going to disable this. We're going to say create project. We're going to wait a little bit. All right, so the project is ready. We're going to hit continue. And now we're inside a dashboard for our project. Okay, this is our project overview. And we have access to all of these things. Now, for the purpose of this tutorial, we're only going to be using this Firestore database, which is what Algolia is going to connect with. And it's going to index the data that's inside, that's going to be inside our Firestore database. So we're going to go in here. And we're going to create a new database. We're going to do it in test mode. We're going to say next. We're going to say enable. All right, so now we are inside our Cloud Firestore. What next is we need to enable an extension. So you're gonna go here to extensions, and you wanna install this extension called Search with Algolia. And what it enables you to do is that it gives you full text search of your Cloud Firestore data with Algolia. So we're gonna say install. Before you can install, you need to upgrade your project to be on the Blaze plan. And all the Blaze plan is, it's a pay-as-you-go plan, okay? For testing purposes, we're not gonna pay anything. But if your app becomes successful, it's gonna have a lot of read and writes, a lot of action happening to it. You're gonna be paying a small amount, but we need to do that. So we need to upgrade the project to continue. All right, so as you can see, we just went from the Spark plan to the Blaze plan, okay? Next, we need to review APIs enabled and resources created. So here you can just enable the secret manager. This is actually required. We're gonna say next. We're gonna enable these two things here. This is also required. We're gonna say next. And here's where we need to configure the extension. And this is very, very important, okay? It asks for a collection path. And this is essentially from Algolia's point of view, the way it's gonna be accessing our Firebase Firestore database. And we're going to say documents here because that is the name of our collection. This is all optional. This is optional. Algolia index name is going to be documents because that's what we call the index. So as you can see, this index right here, it says documents here. So that's kind of what we want. Now we need application ID and API key, okay? So for that, you're going to go in here. So the application ID is actually this thing right here. You see that? You can just copy it right here and you have your application ID. And you're gonna paste it in right here. Now we need the API key, okay? For the API key, you can actually click here and that's gonna explain to you what it wants. We recommend creating a new API key with add object, delete object, list indexes. All of these permissions there. So that's exactly what we're gonna be doing. So you can just go in here. You can just go here, go to API keys. You can create a new API key here, and we're gonna call this Firestore API key. And we are gonna enable all the permissions there. So what it wants is these permissions, okay? Add object, delete object, list indexes, delete index, edit settings, and settings. So we're gonna go in here. We're gonna say add object, delete object, list object, list indexes, delete index, edit settings, delete index, edit settings, and then one more, settings, okay? That's what it needs. This key is gonna have access to all of this, and that is kind of what the extension needs. So we're gonna say create. So there's our new API key that we have just created, and we can simply copy it right here, copy it, go back here and paste it in here, okay? Okay, new secret version is created and we can just double check if everything is here and then we can just press install extension. Okay, now this says that it's now installing. This should take approximately 3 to 5 minutes. All right, so now the extension is installed. We can simply go to get started and it's telling us what we need to do next. Okay, so we can go to the Cloud Firestore tab. We can create documents. We already did that. We can create, update, and delete documents. So essentially what it's telling us to do is that if we create documents here, like we typically would, right? We're putting in data, we're editing, adding, deleting data. It should be replicated here as an index. Okay, so let's see if that works because that is very, very important. If that doesn't work, then there's a problem with the extension. This really needs to work, okay? So we have our app here. We have the index right here. We don't have any records. We are gonna go back to our Firestore database here, and we are gonna create a document, and hopefully it's gonna get replicated in our Algolia, okay? So if I come in here, and I say documents, so in terms of documents, these are just gonna be articles on the web that we're gonna be indexing and creating a search engine for. So we're gonna have a title, we are gonna have contents, and we are gonna have a field that's gonna be maybe a timestamp, okay? So we're gonna say, so maybe we have an article there about a trip to New York. So the title could be something like, My Trip to NYC. And the contents could be something like, in this article, I will talk about my trip to NYC, okay? And the timestamp, we're going to say this is our date published, or just published, which is going to be a date timestamp. And we're just going to say today's date, okay? We're going to hit save. Okay, so now we have one document. And now that we created, we need to go back to Algolia and we need to make sure it's replicated there. Okay, so we go back to Algolia, we refresh, and guess what? We have the document. You see how it created automatically. Essentially, it took the data from our Firebase database and it replicated here, okay? All the fields, everything, and that's perfect. That is what the extension is doing. So let's go back and create another document, okay? So we have a couple of documents. So let's add a new document. We're gonna say title is gonna be my trip to Los Angeles. Field is contents. String is in this article, or today, I'll talk about my trip to LA. Okay, it's like a blog article essentially with a title, contents, and then published. We're gonna say this is a timestamp, and let's say it was published a couple of days ago. Okay, so now we have two documents. We go back to Algolia, we refresh it, and we have two records. You see it says here number of records 2, and we have another record, my trip to LA today. So this is working perfectly, okay? Let's create one more. So we have 3. 3 is a nice number. Field is title, my trip to Mexico. Contents. I like to create 3 because 3 is a nice number. It's a nice representation of kind of the data. Contents, let's talk about my trip to Mexico City. And published, let's say this was published a week ago or something. Okay, we hit save, it created, and now it should be created in Algolia as well. So let's refresh it. 3 records, and we have 3 records there. Okay, so if you refresh the page, we have 3 records. NYC, Mexico, and Los Angeles. So this is working perfectly, okay? So now we've done this part and we've done this part. What's left is actually build the app. Now that we can connect it to all of these components here, okay? So let's go into FlutterFlow. Let me sign into my account. We're gonna say create project, and I'm just gonna call this a blog search engine. I'm gonna say create new. Actually, we need to connect it. So I'm going to go back here. I need to go to Firebase and I need to enter that project and I need to say connect. So it needs a user there, Firebase at FlutterFlow.io as an editor to this project. So that's very easy. You can just go to users and permissions and add this user, Firebase at FlutterFlow.io. We're going to say editor. Done, add member, add it. Okay, so now we can go back, we can say connect, and it should connect right now. Okay, it's connected now. We're gonna say auto-generate config files. All right, this is complete now. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to go to the Firestore and we need to create a collection here. So we're gonna call this documents. We're gonna add fields. This is gonna be title, string, create, add another field, contents, string create, and then published. Published is a timestamp. Okay? So that's kind of what we have. If we go into settings, we can validate that the schema matches perfectly. We're going to hit validate. And this is always good practice. You can also turn this on so that this check runs on run mode. So whenever you compile the app, whenever you're testing the app, you want to view the app, it validates the schema beforehand. This is very, very good practice. Successful, okay? So now we have Firestore set up correctly. The next thing we need to do is we need to set up Algolia. And for that, we're going to go to our gear icon. We're going to go to Algolia. And we need an application ID. So that's right here. So if you go in here, you can just copy this application. This is this thing right here. You can just copy it, paste it here. We need a search API key. And for that, you can just go into the main page, API keys, And you have the search API key here. We're going to copy this. And we're going to paste it here. And so as you can see, it says deployment status is deployed. So everything is fine. And so now we've completed all this setup that we needed to do. And now we can actually go out and build the app. So let's go back here. And let's try to build the app. And so how is this going to work? Well, the way this is going to work is that we're going to have a search input text box. Person is going to type something, and then we're going to be showing results. So let's go in here and let's design this app real quick. We have this column here. Let's add a row. And this row is going to have our input field. So we're going to scroll down. We're going to go to this text field right here. And this text field is going to be what they're going to be searching for. So they're going to type something, press enter, and we're going to be showing them results. So let's scroll down. This is going to be search here. Okay. There you go. And then what we want to do is we have this row. What we can do is we can add a list. And this list view right here is going to repeat something. Okay. So we're going to go back here. And we can do a couple of things, right? We can just, list a bunch of rows that it's going to list with the row, a container, and each container is going to have a text field or something. But let's do something a little bit more interesting. So if we come in here, we can actually choose a template, okay? So we can choose a template that's already created, kind of going to be a search result. So let's take a look at these templates just to kind of understand which one of these we can use for our search results. Something that looks kind of similar to what we want. So maybe something like this. This can work, right? So this card 5 rating is a good idea. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go to this list view and I'm going to say, let's use a card 5 rating. Okay. And we can customize it, okay? It may not need to have an icon. It might have some text here. But if you look at Google's result, right? So if you type something like, news of the world or something, you're going to see that Google has the URL here. Then it has the title, and then it has a snippet of the actual results, right? If you scroll down, you have URL, you have the title, and you have the content. So we don't have any URL. We can customize the URL very, very easily, but we don't have one right now. And as a result, we're simply going to have a title, contents, and maybe a date at the bottom, okay? So that's all we have to do. So we're going to go back here. This is going to be our title. I'm going to delete this icon here. This is going to be the title. We're not going to have anything here. Actually, this could be the date maybe. So I'm going to delete, let's delete that. Let's make this the date. And this is going to be our content. So it's a nice little kind of snippet, okay? Now, the first thing I need to do is I need to configure the list view, okay? So if I go in here and I go to I pick the list view and I come to the backend query, I need to specify it as an Algolia search, okay? The collection is documents. And the search term is going to be a specific value that we're going to be getting from here. Okay, it's a search here. But before that, I want to rename this, and I'm going to say input query. Okay, so it's going to be easier to label it, to call it from other places. So I'm going to go back here to list view, and I'm going to say Algolia search documents. And this is going to be a from variable. We're going to say source is widget state, and we're going to pick input query, okay? And then we're going to say, okay. And now, as you can see, now it kind of repeated it to let us know that it actually has a backend data, and this thing is going to be repeatable, and that's perfect for us, okay? So the next thing that we want to do is we want to configure this specific fields here, okay? So this text here, if you go in here, we're going to go set from variable. We're going to say document response, and we're going to say title, confirm. This thing is going to be set from variable, document response. This is going to be contents. And this thing is going to be published. Document response, published. Okay? So now we have this kind of, this list item here configured. The next thing that we want to do is we want to go into search here and we want to configure an action. Okay, we want to add an action. And on submit, we wanted to do an Algolia search. Okay, we're going to say Algolia search collection is going to be documents, and the search term is going to be from variable, widget state, input query. Okay, that's it. And now we're kind of done. We can also rename this if you want. We can change the text here. We can change the page title. We can come in here, and we have the home page. We can, change it to home page, whatever. Search, something like this. Okay, and we have this thing. Now let's run it and let's see if it works. Okay, so I'm gonna hit run. All right, so here's the app, and now this is the moment of truth. So let's say we want to search for trip. Press enter, and we have all the 3 results. Okay, so it doesn't look bad. We need to kind of format it a little bit here, maybe just display the date. But now we have all the 3 results. Let's say I type Mexico. Press enter, and we only are seeing Mexico. Let's say I only type NYC. Press enter, and we have NYC. Let's say I type the word today, and I'm gonna see just this result. Or, I type talk, and then I will see all the results. So you guys get the message here. This works extremely well, and it's extremely fast. If I type NYC, it's just gonna show NYC. And this application is gonna be perfect for all kinds of situations, all kinds of apps you wanna build, regardless if it's gonna be a search engine or a blog search engine or this, or maybe a Amazon.com clone, an e-commerce store, you name it. In any situation where you need search and you need ranking and you need some kind of recommendations, you're gonna find this method extremely, extremely useful. And so this is kind of what I wanted to show you guys today. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos such as this one with search, recommendations, you name it, leave me a comment below and smash a like on this video. And that lets me know that you guys are interested and you want to see more content going in this direction. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. In any case, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think below, and I will talk to you in a future video.